Hello crafty friends, I'm Lynn from Studio Kato and I'm so glad you're joining me again today. Today I'm watercoloring with some Reinkers and I'm using some products I won in Jennifer Maguire's giveaway. Now I will link to the Facebook group that hosts the giveaway every month and I'll write some information about that in the description below so you can enter if you want to as well. And the reason I loved winning this giveaway, apart from all the free supplies, of course, I got supplies that I wouldn't be able to get here in Europe otherwise. Most of these are unavailable here, and shipping from the US is obviously very expensive. So I felt very fortunate and very lucky to have gotten these supplies. And the first one I'm using is the Floral stencil by Photoplay, and it's gorgeous, gorgeous florals. And I am inking that with white pigment ink by Hero Arts onto soft gray cardstock. And that gives a really lovely tone-on-tone glowing effect. Of course, you could do it the other way around, use some gray ink on white cardstock. But I find that white pigment ink creates a really nice glow on cardstock that you won't be able to get the other way around. And another goodie I got in this giveaway is the first Bloom stamp set by Trinity stamps. And it has these gorgeous florals. Again, I love my florals. And I'm stamping those onto watercolor cardstock. This is the Canson Montval 200 GSM watercolor cardstock in VersaFine Onyx Black ink. So I can clear emboss this with Wow Clear Gloss super fine embossing powder. I love embossing my images because it gives a really nice finish to the line art and it also makes it easier to color within the lines. Now I love watercoloring and I love finding new supplies to watercolor with. Obviously Reinkers isn't entirely new, but it's a great way to use your Reinkers because they are an investment, of course. Now I'm painting with Pinkfresh Studio Reinkers, and the color palette I chose is actually the color palette I found on the back of the packaging of Trinity stamps. They have these gorgeous teals and some pink and yellow, and I matched them quite easily with Pinkfresh Studio inks. So that's why I chose to color with the inks today. Now, there are some things to note when watercoloring with these Reinkers. And one thing you just saw when I put some extra pink in the center of the florals. I'm not entirely sure why this happens, so I'm not sure if my explanation of this is going to be any good. But when I'm coloring with Reinkers and the color is very concentrated, so I don't add a lot of water, I basically colored that darker pink straight from the Reinker without adding any water. And when I color it like that, I can't move the color around anymore. Some of it seeps into the paper and stains it, and I can't pick it up with my water brush anymore. Now this doesn't happen if you just use some water with your Reinkers instead of using them straight from the bottle. And I haven't tested this out on any other paper. Maybe this paper just isn't equipped with handling it. That's entirely possible because it's very cheap watercolor cardstock. So maybe it's fine on your cardstock. Just test it out before you color and see what happens. I would love to know. If you try this at home, I would love to know what happens with your paper. Overall, this image is super easy and quick to color, but I took some extra effort with the leaves because I did want a lot of depth in those. I'm using 3 different colors of inks on these leaves, and I colored the entire leaf first with my lightest shade, then added a second darkest shade, a mid-tone, and didn't blend that up all the way to the top, and then I added the final layer. And that's the Stargazer ink. It's my favorite blue in the Pinkfresh Studio line. It's a Stargazer ink and it's this really dark blue. And I just added a little bit of that and blended it out just about midway. Now I did let every layer dry before I put another layer on top. and that makes it really easy to get a nice deep look to your coloring. For this butterfly, I'm bringing in a little bit more yellow because that wasn't super present in the flowers, and then I can move on to assembling some pieces for my cards. I die cut the Scalloped frame die by Pinkfresh Studio 4 times out of thick white cardstock, and I'm layering all of those together. I'm using Barely Art Precision Glue for this, but you can use any liquid glue you have. I do recommend using liquid glue though. It gives you a little bit of wiggle room to move things around. Now I also die cut my background that I ink blended before, and then I just arranged everything temporarily in my Misty so I knew where my sentiment stamp would go. And this sentiment stamp is from the gray Muse, and that's the Happiness Blooms stamp set. And I'm stamping that in VersaFine Onyx Black ink as well. Now with everything ready to assemble, I am going to do just that, and I cut 4 thick pieces of white cardstock, and I can layer those behind my background. That will prop it up nicely on the card, and this MFT Wonky stitched rectangle die set, which I use to die cut the background, leaves a tiny margin all the way around, so that's a nice matting layer. Now I didn't emboss this sentiment, and usually I always do, but I smudged it because I wasn't careful, because I'm used to them being embossed. And I'm just using my mono sand eraser to just sand that away. Now you do see a little bit of paper tearing is a strong word for this. You do see a little bit of wear on your paper when you do this. It's not just a magical eraser that doesn't leave any smudges behind, but it's a lot less noticeable. And I highly recommend you get one of these erasers for your craft room if you don't have one already. It's a lifesaver because we all end up with some ink smudges sometimes, and who wants to ruin a card with that? I figured this card with the super subtle background needed some embellishments as well, so I'm using the metallic silver pearls by Pinkfresh Studio. These come in 4 different sizes in the package, and it's a gorgeous selection for card makers. I'm using a jewel picker to arrange those on my card, and once I'm happy with the placement, I can pick them up one by one, put a little dot of glue behind them, underneath them with the Barely Art Precision Craft glue, and then they can just stick to the glue instead. Of course, I'm making a matching envelope, and I'm using some color in my envelope today. I'm using a colored cardstock. This is just a really soft pink that I thought matched my florals pretty well. And I'm just folding that with the We Are Memory Keepers 123 punch board and adhering that together with the Barely Art Precision Craft glue. Now you know by now my envelopes are super simple. I just think it's a nice touch to add to your mail art to make it somewhat match your card design. And an easy way to do that is just use the same supplies or one of the same supplies you used on your card on your envelope. So I'm using the white ink and the stencil by Photoplay. I'm just lightly blending that on with a blending brush and fading it out towards the center. Super simple, but a fun touch to your happy mail. And I really love how this envelope turned out. The white stands out a little bit better on the pink than on the gray, but I also really love that subtle look on the gray cardstock as well on the card. So I'm really pleased with this card. Luckily I am, because I'm planning on sending it to Jennifer as a thank you. Let's hope the card making queen likes it. But for now, of course, I'm hoping you liked it and you liked the video as well. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. Again, I will leave the information on the giveaway I won in the description below. You can just go to Jennifer Maguire's Facebook group and enter there each month. The Facebook group is a lot of fun. It's not just about the giveaway, it's just a great community of people. Anyway, you can also subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.